Hi, I am Roxana. I am an advanced ADHD coach. I also have a background in business psychology, and I have a certification that I'm super proud of, which is Master Strengths Practitioner. Welcome to this page. I aim to give you a taste of who Roxana is behind the scenes, the unfiltered version. First of all, I would like to tell you that I'm originally from Transylvania, Romania, a small town. And I always had this fire inside of me of wanting to find out more, understanding what's happening. So much so that I ran away from home to pursue my degree at Worcester University in England in psychology, following by my master's at UCL. I only found out that I have dyslexia whilst I was doing my master's degree at UCL. It was my professor and my mentor, Professor Adrian Furnham, that told me, Roxana, I think you might be dyslexic. At first, I was shocked. How dare he tell me I have a disability? And then he told me, no, please go and get tested. You might be surprised of what you're going to be able to see there. And he was right. He was able to notice that the way that I make connections between different things is a bit unusual, is a bit different. And I guess I always knew I'm a bit different. So at first, when I discovered that I have dyslexia, it was a shock. Like I found out I have a disability. It was such a hard label. Back in Romania, we didn't have this thing called dyslexia, like this disability. And it was strength profile. Back then, it was called Realize 2 that changed my perspective. I understood that with a brain that works differently means that you have certain spikes and certain lows. And it's about identifying the lows, but then focusing on the spikes and building systems around that. I was still in my master's, right? So I wasn't qualified enough to work for this psychometric company. But it always remained in the back of my mind, and it was my dream company. So just like the majority of people with ADHD before they find out that they have this diagnosis and they don't fully understand themselves, I went job hopping. I tried to work in-house and I got bored. It was really slow, the pace. I said, okay, fine, I'm going to go in consulting. I went in consulting and I felt overwhelmed at times. But I think it's also where I've learned some strategies to understand time, right? Because we have this blind spot when it comes to time. And having the managers, having the structures, the project managers that are on your case is where I've learned to put systems in place to be able to deliver things which you need when you work for the big corporations. Highlights, I would definitely include the fact that I was able to go in the boardroom of BlackRock, Sky offices, DHL. So I really enjoyed getting to the top, right? Speaking with the best people, with the smartest people. I was always drawn to the rebels. I didn't fully understand, but I think I was forming the preference as I was being exposed to different type of people, different type of environments. But I think my greatest love was discovering the power of strengths. And remember that company that I told you about? I made the courage to apply for a job at this company called back then Center of Applied Positive Psychology, CAP. Now it's called Capfinity. We were recruiting and developing people based on their strengths, which means we had to be really good at understanding the strengths based methodology. This is the part that I fell in love with because I understood that everyone is good at something, but not everyone is good at knowing that. And once you're able to increase the self awareness of the things that you are naturally good at, doesn't matter if we're talking about graduates, people in the C suite, or an entrepreneur, you are able to unlock the next level. So I've done this with huge corporations. My clients included DHL, NHS, Johnson's& Johnson's, Diageo. I even worked with the people from HSBC, from Deloitte. We had the big names in our portfolio. And what was really interesting, it was the rise of neurodiversity in the workplace and prioritizing that. And we were able to show with our methodology that you don't discriminate if you recruit people based on strengths versus capabilities. And actually, what it does, you will have a more diverse workspace and you bring more value to the company. We were able to also demonstrate to people that if you recruit people based on what they love to do, they stay longer. Duh, right? But there's a whole science behind this. So, this is where I got really good, scientifically speaking, in how to spot people's strengths. And yes, you could do it via interviews, but you could also use assessments to do this. So, this is my background. Before I became an ADHD coach, this was my job as a consultant. Cool, right? Funny story. At this point, I knew I had dyslexia, but I still didn't know that I have ADHD. And I met this guy, my current partner, Christy, that was kind of showing signs of what I thought is ADHD. So the first thing that I Googled was what are the advantages of ADHD? And I was blown away to see that there are many advantages when it comes to ADHD. Including myself, I had some judgment about what is ADHD. Picture this, I was a psychologist, right, helping companies from around the world recruit the best people with neurodiversity in mind. I had dyslexia myself. I knew the power of focusing on the positives, and here I was, shocked about the fact that ADHD has some advantages, although mechanically that's what I've asked for. The reason why I think it's important for me to share this is to show you how little information there is out there for us to form an opinion about ADHD. Again, if a psychologist thought like that before starting to do the research, imagine someone that is not working in the field, what they're going to think about ADHD. So, all this was happening at the same time as I was opening my coaching practice and understanding that people with ADHD are the best entrepreneurs and understanding that it can be an advantage and the most successful people from the business world are having this condition. I read about Richard Branson, I read about Justin Timberlake, the list goes on, right? And this was when I decided I think it's going to be really smart for me to go down this path because I just connected with some of the things that I was reading about these people with ADHD. I was like, ooh, these are the rebels that I was looking for. These are the people that don't fit within the box. These are the disruptors. And I always liked this energy of disruptors, right? I was in absolute shock as I started my qualification at one of the best schools in the world, which is ADCA. I started the advanced version because I was already a qualified executive coach, to find out more about ADHD, to get educated, not only at the surface what it means, but also at the core. That's when I realized I also have ADHD. It was a shock, it was a relief, it was the missing piece of the puzzle. The understanding that ADHD looks different in women and in men blew my mind. And it continues to blow my mind as I'm talking to my clients. Again, the reason why I'm telling you about this is it was pretty late in my career as a psychologist working with neurodiversity that I was able to realize I might have ADHD. Obviously, I went through the process, I got the diagnosis, surprise, surprise, I had ADHD. So, this was my unfiltered story. I hope you understand where the ADHD Advantage name comes from. It's a mix between my personal story and belief, but also all the qualifications that I've acquired before I became a qualified ADHD coach. I can also vouch for the impact that it has on your life the moment that you understand how your brain works differently compared to the people that don't have ADHD, understand your strengths, but then you take all that understanding and you put it in practice. If you want to find out more about how I do that, head over to the tab where I talk about ADHD coaching. I explain to you the process of taking all this theory and putting it into practice. I can't wait to work with you. Now that you know my story, I can't wait to hear yours. Head over to the link where you can book your first session with me for free and let's start talking.